Hello, I'm Georgiou at Morningstar UK, and I'm here with Heather Hopkins, founder of NextWealth, and we're going to be talking about why investors pay for advice. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
So you do a lot of research with advisors. Can you talk about why it is investors are paying for advice and the benefits of that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we just did a piece of research with investors on this recently because there's new disclosures that are coming out for costs and charges from platforms, asset management, and financial advisors. And a lot of people are wondering how people will react to this. So we thought, well, let's ask investors why they pay for financial advice, what the reasons, what's the driver. And what we heard was that they want access to better potential investor returns, and they want peace of mind. Those were the two top things that come out. And I don't think that would come as a surprise to anyone. But sometimes I think financial advisors think it's about the administration, it's about accessing markets, it's about understanding how to structure a plan. And I think that all comes down to it. But it's really those drivers of, I don't have a big risk appetite. I don't want to risk losing my money. And if I work with a professional, maybe they can help me think about how to get a bit more than I'm getting in the bank, but without that downside.
Do you think there's a concern from the advisor's side that the sort of disclosure of the breakdown of costs that's coming from sort of MiFID II is something that might scare the investor off?
Absolutely. It's so there's been a number of different steps towards this disclosure of charges and fees. And the first one was advice charges a few years ago with the retail distribution review. And there was a lot of people who expected that would be this moment where people would say, oh, I'm not paying that. I had no idea I was going to pay that. And they would do it themselves. But we haven't seen that shift. And but now we have this next phase where not only the financial advice charges will be disclosed, but all of the asset management, platform, everything, and as a single amount with a forecast of the impact that has on the portfolio. And I think people are wondering what impact that will have on people's appetite to pay for advice and for all of these other bits, because it's not just the advisor charge. So far, what I'm hearing from advisors is that their customers are comfortable with the advice charge because they knew that, but it's the other charges that they weren't necessarily as aware of. And so they're looking at that aggregate fee to wonder how they could bring that down. And that could be through a lower cost advice proposition, or it could be lower cost investment options. But it's, the cost is, we're talking about 2% probably total. So it can seem high as a pound and pence figure, but it's not a huge proportion of the portfolio. But it's that figure, when you see it in pounds and pence, can seem quite large.
And do you think this might have a sort of further impact on platform fees, like a further squeeze?
Yeah, absolutely. So platforms they're the lowest margin piece of the supply chain and the lowest cost piece of the supply chain, but they get squeezed because they're not seeing as adding value. They're seeing as custody and administration. So absolutely, that will be squeezed. Oh, it's really interesting. In the survey we did with customers, we asked them what they thought they were paying, and it's much lower than the actual charges. And when we asked them about their level of confidence about what they were paying, it was also, they weren't that confident. So they'd sort of put out a number, but they wouldn't know exactly. And I don't think that reflects any naivete, because if you ask me what I pay my accountant, I think, well, I can guess, but I don't know an exact figure. So I don't criticize customers for that sort of impression. But I think when they see that cost, it might create a bit of a shock, and the platform will be the first to be squeezed. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you for listening from Morningstar UK.